Okay, then most of the participants are in, so I think we can start the session today. So, yeah, as always on Friday we're having the Leica conversation today. We have done that so often now it feels like a habit now. So Friday is conversation day, and yeah, I would like to welcome everybody. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box. And during the session, we will, yeah, hopefully answer all of your questions. And before we start with today's session, let me introduce our guest speaker today, because there are some very interesting facts about him. He's not only a master photographer, which will share some of his results, amazing results today. He's also running his own travel agency, and he's responsible for all the Leica Akademie trips. So either you have joined one of the trips before, or you are interested in joining those trips in the future. We will definitely provide you with a lot of information today, so what you can expect from those upcoming Academy trips. The second interesting thing is that as I said, he's a photographer, but most of the time he's using small format cameras. And a lot of photographers that we had in the sessions earlier, they have using M system or SL or S system. And today we will prove you how can you achieve amazing shots with compact cameras or small format cameras, because it's also possible with this kind of equipment. So yeah, let me say a very warm welcome to you, Michael Lee. Hello.
Hey, thank you. Hey, everyone. It's good to see a lot of friends signing up and today call. Yeah, as Lucas has have mentioned, I use many equipments from Leica, from the small compact size of camera to even to the M system, and also some situations I also use a SL to go with me. It depends on the country that I visited, and also depends on the photo opportunities that the places that we visit can give a best results over here. So today I'm going to showcase and to have also discussions with you all about the carefully chosen 21 to 22 pictures from the countries that normally as a photographers or travel bugs, they don't normally go to these places, right? As just what Danny have mentioned, to the countries like Uzbekistan. Most of people, I give you a map, you don't even know where Uzbekistan is located. Countries like seldom travel, but the famous names are Bhutan, and also in the northern parts of India. So I chose carefully about these pictures, and these pictures, as what Lucas have mentioned, I don't stick on one particular system of Leica camera. I actually use 5 to 6 cameras that I took during these 3 trips. Right, I'm going to show over to you, and any questions about the equipment that I use, why I took those pictures, and the story that I would have more than happy to share with you as when we go by for each pictures over here. Yeah. Okay. I think wants to mention this, these 3 countries that I'm going to share with you today. It was from the previous Leica Akademie travel workshops that we have been to from 2015 to 2017. So we basically have organized trips for workshops to these 3 countries over here.
Okay, thanks a lot. Me and I hope everybody really looking forward to the session. And before we talk about your first image, let's stay on the topic of the Academy trip. So maybe you give us a little bit of background. How did that came up, and how did you get into it? So was that something that you really wanted to do with Leica? And you said you started in 2015. How did it develop over those years?
Okay, just give you a little bit background of myself. Okay, I was using big camera system, like SLR and those heavy equipments. I have operations on my hands, actually on my right hand. Okay, I almost lost my hand. Okay, I was not joking, right? Not joking. I almost lost my hand. I visited the hospital for about a year on and off. So from that onwards, I've changed to a small camera system, right? And to the compact camera size, and also to the APS-C, because when everyone is moving to the full frame, I actually stick with a small camera system because of my disadvantage over there. So how we start on is where in 2000s, I think 2000s, August 2013, Leica launched a camera, APS-C format with a built-in zoom lens, X Vario. All right, I was invited to attend the launch in a rifles branch over there. I was quite amazed that I think that is quite from the X and to develop to the X Vario. So this is the second, I would say, the APS-C cameras, and that actually captured my attention because, as I mentioned, I'm more prone to using a smaller camera, and I, because of my travel style, so I kind of like were attracted to those small cameras for my travel. So then at the time, the marketing managers share this camera with me, and he knows that I'm going to a place in the East Malaysia. The town is actually called Sampurna, right? So what we did is we flew to the East Malaysia, and then we travel to this small town, and then from this small town we have to take the boat up from the town and to the middle of the sea. And why we go there is because there was about 50,000 of people, okay, stateless people. They don't belong to any countries. They have no passport. No countries recognize them. They are actually living in the coast of Malaysia on the water itself. Now, I would say on the water, it really means on the water. They have the stilt houses on the water. Most of them prefer to stay. That is their traditional lifestyle, right? It's more like living like a sea gypsy lifestyle over there. And a lot of them do not want to migrate to the land because that they don't belong to the land. They actually belong to the sea. So we visited there. I have been to these places for many times, and doing some charity for my own. And that's where the first trip that I have this Leica X Vario with me. So I just carry one camera, one lens, because it's easy for me to move around out from the boat, climbing up to the stilt houses, going to the low tide of water, and that's where I come back with some pictures, amazing pictures. I would say this is one of the pictures that I like most, and that I share with the marketing team and with Leica in Singapore, and I find it's wow, it's a less than a full frame camera, but it can produce amazing and colorful images. And I like these pictures a lot is because it is just pure the happiness, the smile from the children, even though they are living in conditions that you cannot even imagine. Even though today we claim that life is tough, life is tough during the COVID situations, but you can never imagine a bunch of people living in the middle of the sea with no access to basic infrastructures, even like water and electricity or simple medicine. So these pictures actually give me a very impactful image even to myself, right? As to stay positive, stay strong, as your life get tougher, you get tougher as well. And happiness is just a choice of your own. Yeah, so that's where I really like these pictures for myself.
Well, what is your intention behind doing that? I mean, how did you get aware of those people, and what do you think you contribute when you go there, taking pictures, try to help them? What is your approach, and also what's the reason to do that for you?
I think a couple of reasons is a lot of travel photographer, they normally visits a place once a lifetime, or so-called visit once. They don't want to go back. For me, whether a new place or repeats, I always like to go back. Not just because of, I get bored with these images. It's not about that, because I'm not so much on a landscape photographer. I'm more to a people photographer. It's actually good to see, to have a connections with the group of people over there, like these kids over there. And actually, I have one kid that I love her so much. from her pictures when she was 3 years old until now she's a teenager. I've been keep going back to these places again and again. And every time I went back to Sampona, I take picture of her, right? And I have pictures of her when she was like 3 years old, 5 years old, 8 years old. So you can see the developments of the people and the changes of the ambience of the living habits. Is there any significant changes? And on top of that, it's also to bring more people to visit them to understand there are actually a minority group of people who are actually asking for help, but not even a lot of us aware there is such Bajau people, which is I call the CGP people, living in the coast near to Malaysia, and they are stateless people. So every time we are going there, we run some mini volunteer charity program, be it to help them with some basic needs like water, food, right, and especially clothing, right. Clothing for us is, well, that it is a human right to have clothes to wear. But imagine if you are in the middle of the sea, you wouldn't have clothes to wear. So that is a basic like a self-respect for us. So as the community grow, right, and we actually donate old clothes and to giving to these Bajau people. And on top of that, personally, I have my family doctors, and he knows that I'm keep visiting these places. That he also donates the medicines for the outer medicine, for the cream, for sensitive skin, and those. So I will bring it to the places like Sampona, and on and off. I do have one friend over there who is running like a nurse, healthcare service industry. That if he is able to join us, that we will try to make the trip together with us, so that we can at least when we visit this community, we can offer some basic help to them. Running a charity and helping these people, for me, is more like you're picking a sea star from the beach. You can never save every sea star, but you try your best. If you have happened to see one, you try to save one. I think that is what one person's efforts can do. But once these messages are spread with all the participants, right, and these messages delivered to the participant, and once other people group together, it will become a force. So even by during these COVID situations, today I still keep contact with this nurse living in the Sampona, and they do run some programs and to help of these minority people over there.
It's amazing to see how happy or how they look. Even if you said like they are so poor, and some of them don't have even proper access to clothing and stuff like that. But when you have a look at that picture, it shows really that money is not everything to be happy, right?
They don't have money, first of all, of course, right? And to something that even quite surprising, because imagine you're living in the sea, you don't have no access to the modern world, you don't know what is called time, you don't know what is called 7 o'clock, you don't know what is called Monday, you don't know what is January, February, or 2019, 2020. None of them actually know their age. Quite amazing, you know. Yeah.
And you think this supports their happiness, that they don't have the restrictions that we have in our modern society?
I think yes, as you have less of free worries and you stay positive, right? As I mentioned, happiness or very free is a choice of yours. Yeah.
Amazing, definitely amazing. Let's go on to the next one. So as you mentioned in the beginning, we are traveling in a lot of countries today. So in which country we are now?
Okay, this country is Uzbekistan. Okay, yeah, in the Central Asia. Okay, Uzbekistan is below Kazakhstan. I think Kazakhstan, everyone heard about the names, right? And Uzbekistan is below Kazakhstan, right below Kazakhstan.
So what makes you go to Uzbekistan? I mean, I think when it comes to the top 10 travel countries, Uzbekistan might not be in that list. So you are looking for adventures, or what is your intention to go to those kind of countries?
Okay, I heard about Uzbekistan when if you understand the Silk Route history, Okay, most of us will understand that Silk Route, okay, started from China and then all the way to the Europe. But between China and the Europe, there are many stops in between during the Silk Route. This stop is become a center of exchange in terms of knowledge, in terms of trades, in terms of religions. Now, Uzbekistan is a very, very important stops during the Silk Route, right? Not only that, in the Uzbekistan, if you go back to the history BC, Alexander the Great actually came to Uzbekistan and conquered Uzbekistan at 330 BC. Now, if you roll back, if you do the math count, it's actually 2,350 years ago, right? So Alexander from the Italy have come over here to conquer the country, and after that, of course, Alexander the Great, the kingdom vanished and they left Uzbekistan, and then Iranians came, Turkish came, and most important was during the 7th centuries. 7th centuries, Kusam Abbas came to Uzbekistan. Now, who is Kusam Abbas? Kusam Abbas is the cousin of Prophet Muhammad, which among the Muslims is treated like a founder, right, of the Islamic. So Kusam Abbas came to Uzbekistan to preach the Islam among the community. So Uzbekistan from that onwards, on the 7th century onwards, have turned the nations to most of the populations now, about 92%, they are Muslim. All right. So these pictures, what it makes so important, and I personally like this picture a lot, is one. Let me give you some background of this. This is in a private room. Okay, in a private room in a dome. Okay, very dark inside. Okay, what they are doing, they are giving their praying. All right, next to the tomb of Kusam Abbas. Actually, Kusam Abbas was buried less than 30 meters from these people, sitting at the bench over there, right? And if you compare the the residents or the Muslims in the Uzbekistan when they pray and they give the prayer, compared to the nearest country like Malaysians and Indonesians, when they do the praying, you can see they are more open. Now this more openness, there are history over there. If you go back to before the Russians' time, they do praying in the traditional, very close Muslim way, like Malaysians and in our neighborhood and Indonesians. But the Russians came, right? The Soviet Union times came to conquer Uzbekistan at the time. They don't allow them to do praying in the mosque. So a lot of them actually pray during the openness, right? It can be in your homes, it can be on a bench. As long as the right timing, you just do a praying. So because of the habit of this openness of praying, even not necessarily have to be in a closed door at the mosque. So this is very hard to see this part of a practice, the Muslim practice in a Southeast Asia country over here. So I was actually invited to go to this very special rooms, super pitch, very dark over there. And the equipments actually I have with me, what I was carrying an AIMS with a 35 Sumilex 1.4. So you can tell that I max out the equipments to the fullness. I was taking these pictures at 1.4 apertures. So it was dark, and I was glad that I know where I'm going to. Because I'm not shooting outdoor, I'm shooting indoor. So I was prepared to go with me with equipment that allowed me to shoot in a very dark environment.
It doesn't look like a dark environment at all. So it looks
yeah.
like very nice exposed.
Yeah. And it was a good match, right? There's 3 pairs of gentlemen and ladies, or baby boy or baby girls, right? If you look carefully, right? So there's older couples, there is middle-aged couples, and then there is a sister and a younger brother. So it's just like one family sitting together for their praying time, and with a very colorful background. I think I quite like this message, these pictures a lot. And of course, the other thing is very colorful. I think one of it is.
So while we are going to your next picture, I would like to come back to what I've mentioned in the beginning, that you have your own travel agency and you are organizing the travel workshops for the Leica Academy. Maybe you share a little bit, how do you prepare for that and how do you find the spots where to go? So is that something that you pre-discover by yourself by going there?
Okay, for each of the destinations, right, before I make it commercially or also introduced to Leica Academy, each of the destinations I have gone there by myself, alone, to do just like to investigate and to look out for photo opportunities, understand about the culture, the history, plans my route, right, and to know what is the places that we shall go, to take some good pictures, and what is the right time to go, and what is unique about the pictures over there. Because sometimes when you talk about travel photography, it's different from normal photography. Travel photography, you capture a very nice pictures, but that doesn't mean that a nice or beautiful. How do you judge? Would the pictures tell you about the country? Would the pictures tell you about the places that you visit? Right, that is very important. Right, so each of the countries I have gone there myself at least once or two times, right, to understand what these countries can provide and what are these difference of the conditions, right, for taking of pictures, so that we can well prepare to advise our participants, right, and what equipment to bring, what to expect, right, and then show and to give them a few samples of the pictures, so that they will know that, okay, you know, this Uzbekistan, does it look like my type of tea? Do I look the pictures opportunity is look appealing to me, right? And what are the equipments they have, and they will discuss with me, and then they say, okay, if you need this and you need that or whatever it is, then that will actually help us to prepare for the trip. I think better preparations in terms of equipments, in terms of timings, in terms of understanding the places, that can have a higher chance for us to take good pictures. Now, bear in mind, the travel photography workshops that we organize, none of the pictures are stage shoots. Stage shoots is like something like you pay a model, and the model will stand there and do this for you, and you can have 10 times, 20 times chances to take pictures. No, we don't do this. So it's because of that, you have to get the right moments at the right timing. Just imagine about this carpets workshop. If you go there at 5 o'clock, I can tell you 5 p.m. they have closed. You have to know your work before that. What are the most the best timing you can capture these pictures? What are the timing of the workshop? I think this is where the preparation helps us to have good chance of taking the right pictures, the right moments. Because sometimes, if you see full-time photographers, right, taking some of what fascinating pictures, like, wow, I don't know how he can get the right timing. I think I would say, if the pictures is not staged, right, let's give the benefit of doubt, the pictures is not staged. Then how would the photographer capture the pictures? It's either you do a lot of work to prepare, to understand the right timing, to have a good chance to take the pictures that you want.
But as a photographer, most of the time you want to be as less disturbing as you can. So, for example, when looking at this picture, if you are by yourself, I can imagine you won't get noticed a lot. But if you do that travel workshops and you are in a group of people, maybe a lot of people, of course, notice then this group, and if everybody is standing in front of them and taking pictures, are you still able to capture the moment as it is?
Yes and no. Okay, I would say yes and no is depends on the situations, because as for example, this workshop, this is I think the third or the fourth time I have been to these carpet workshops. Okay, so then they actually know me, right? They actually know me, and they're quite open, right? So I wouldn't say I can do a lot of communications with them, because they don't speak English. The Uzbek language is very little. I can communicate with them. They speak Russians, but not many Russians work. I can do communication with them, but they are quite open. I would say they recognize me, right? So that is have some sort of networking right? The relationship of networking. So when I come back, they don't surprise to see that I come with a bunch of photographers. I think that's an advantage. Okay, that's an advantage where you have well organized, planned out, right? And the other thing is, yes, if you look at these pictures, I'm very close with this lady in the workshop. There wouldn't be any chance in these positions to have a second photographer. But that doesn't mean that behind me there's no photographer. It's just that, is this the best angle to take? I am not sure. Maybe if I squat down almost to the eye level, right, with this lady, or maybe there are another photographer above me, he's taking a different perspective, maybe using non-wide angle, maybe using a 35 mm, he may have a different picture. So I would say that at max depends on the situations, whether the rooms allow us to have 2 or 3 persons, but I would say that we have to take turns, right? We have to be more considerate, especially when we are visited countries, right? And we have to take turns and be considerate for each other, not just to the subject itself, but also to our teammates, right? Because when each photographer, you go for a tour, workshops, we treat as a classmate and we treat each other like a teammate. So imagine if 10 of us come together, right, and we are trying to fight for the space. Not only that, I wouldn't think that the subjects will be feel easy because. So I think what we have to do some preparations during the pre-trip briefing is when you see a very some difficult situations where we cannot allow to have 3 or 4 or even more than 1 photographer, let's take turns. But the first turns, I always emphasize, please allow me to take the first turn. Not because I want to have the first pictures, it's because most of the places, they recognize me. So at least when I come in, they are more comfortable to know what I want to do with them, right? And then the second photographer that will come in. Now, why I say so, for example, like these pictures, if you look at these pictures, the lights fall on the subjects, right? It's different from the light at the background. The light at the background is a nature light. It's a very warm light, right? They use a light bulb. But I use a flash. Where's my flash holding? I'm using a remote trigger flash holding on my left hand, right? So that's why you see the flash coming from there. At least, yeah. So at least this lady, he knows that, oh, I'm taking pictures and I might use flash. Actually, I let her know because I show her that I have a flash. I don't know how to speak the flash in Uzbek language or in Russia, but some level of communication as travel, experience travel, there's some sign language or whatever it is, so they understand it. So they expect not only we will take a pictures of her, right, but we might use flash. So that is the first communication to manage her expectations. Then the second photographer coming into the same spot, at least he would be more easier to have more rooms for her to move around, to do a little bit of communication, maybe a smile to this lady. So I think well planning, well organized, is very critical to ensure a good experience of travel workshops. Yeah.
Michael, you mentioned earlier that you do that location scouting by yourself in advance. What is your criteria to find a good spot for photography? Is it finding interesting people or able to tell a story? How do you select between spots that you don't include into your trips and spots that you definitely include?
Okay, first of all, let me go by the countries rather than I only go to the spots, right? The countries myself like to go is very much on the countries where I can take a lot of pictures of the cultures of the people. That is most critical, right? If a countries have just full of very nice landscape, I wouldn't be interested. Just my preference, right? Just is my preference. So first, when I scout for these countries, this country must have history of the mankind, of itself, and offer ample opportunities for different cultures and different scenes that we normally do not see, right? And then the third one is the people over there, right? And if immediately give me the bonus if I find that the people there are helpful, friendly, and open for photographers to come to visit them. Because there are some countries that they welcome the tourists, but they welcome the tourists to come to shops. They don't welcome the tourists to come to take pictures. Now, those countries are normally either I exclude them, or if I were to visit them, I would exclude those very touristy spots. So I do my homework because, as I mentioned, I run a travel agency, so I'm experienced travel. So I will look at the spots where it gives me uniqueness of taking of pictures over there. And most importantly, as I think I keep repeating myself, I'm a people shooter. Not so much on the street shoots, but about the people. But I don't do a portrait. If you go through all the slides of the pictures, I don't do portrait. One of the reasons is the close-up portrait, it actually excludes the ambience. When you exclude the ambience and the background, you wouldn't be able to tell whether this picture is, be it Uzbek in Singapore or Uzbek in the Uzbekistan. So I normally have to capture the background, right, and the ambience or the culture behind. So there's always some elements that I look into to put into my to the photos, and that will give me like, okay, I think this is a good place where amateurs or even experienced photographers to come to the Leica Academy trip that will have vast opportunities, right? Not just one single opportunities or landscape or portrait, but a vast opportunities that give them at least some situations where they can practice, right? And at least some situations that can definitely some good pictures and good memories and have a good experience travel to the country. Because at the end of the day, travel photography is still about travel. Photo come the second words, right? So you must enjoy the travel as experience yourself, and then you would like to enjoy the pictures that you take from the country.
You said ambience. Is that the reason why you selected this picture as a very specific ambience, especially with that old yellow camera in the background? Looks quite interesting.
Yeah.
A limited light source also.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would say you can only shoot in environments like this with, let's say, full frame M system with big aperture. So where did you get that shot, and with what equipment?
Okay, from these pictures, I'm not showing from the technical aspects of these pictures, but rather I will share with you the two message that I want to like during today's conversation is photography to me is an art. Okay, of course it's a hobby, but it is also an art. When I was in high school, I was studying in Australia. I attended art class, and the lecturer or the teachers, the first thing is not to learn about drawing. It's art class, but the first months of class, no one touched the drawing pens, no one touched the color. Along the whole semester, the whole year, the lecturers or the teachers always bring us to the gallery, because from learning the arts, you have to appreciate the art. In order to appreciate the arts, you have to study the arts. So going through the gallery, you learn the famous artists, you learn why they draw the pictures. What were they thinking when they draw the pictures? What were the images when they want to draw the pictures? So we learn from that. That is the fundamental of the art sense that one artist should build before he start to practice it. If he's a drawing artist, you should learn the fundamental art appreciations before you learn to draw. Similar for photographer as well. So I have friends asking me, hey Michael, what is I want to improve from my current skills. So what should I do next? I would say stop shooting for a while. Let's visit others' work, others' photographer, right? Be it the photographer you like or you don't like, right? Or photographers you have not heard of. Let's visit their works. Let's open our mind to look at what others people do. So given us as a Leica Academy trip, not only we want to take pictures of ourselves, we also hope to learn from each other. So where I bring it to is, this is actually a very famous photographer based in Uzbekistan. Okay, his name is called Shafkat Balchev, very famous photographer. He has his own Facebook, WordPress, a lot of book he has published. He is born in Bukhara, and this is his own photo gallery, right? And we visited this gallery, and he has shown a lot of the pictures during the film days, and he has a lot of collections of the old cameras, and of course, because of the Soviet Union's background, right? So a lot of these cameras are actually the Russians. But put the equipment aside. What interesting is that when you go for a photography trip, you get a chance to visit photo exhibitions, and these photo exhibitions is held by the local photographer. And it is always good to learn and each other's work. Like, okay, Singapore style, for example, we might have our own style of taking pictures, same perspective. You go out with your friends, right? And it could be that we're shooting the same scene, but our style very much similar. It is good to go with other participants from other countries, be it from Indonesians, from Malaysians, from outside of Southeast Asia, to look at the other part of the world. What are the style from others photographer that actually can inspire you and give you a perspective and open up your exposures in terms of art appreciations. So this is where I like to share these messages, right, with everyone's online. Want to pick up your skill? Sometimes stop shooting for a while, right? Put down your camera, go back to the basics, learn the basic of the art appreciations, go to attend some gallery. In Singapore, in some countries, a lot of these galleries, they are free, and a lot of photos, exhibitions, they are free. Even your pages, go there and don't just look at each pictures with 2 seconds. Stand there, look at this, ask yourself what the photographer want to deliver the messages, right? And what is the image there? Can it inspire something? I'm sure there's a story behind it. So try to understand it, and the process of you study others' pictures, you will learn the art by yourself. And the next time when you pick up a camera again, you will definitely broaden your scope, your exposures, and also like you may have different ideas to approach the subjects or different ideas to frame your pictures going forward. So this is where I encourage, right, to visit photo gallery and also to exchange ideas and see their photos work from other countries. Yeah.
I really share your opinion here that you say like you can learn from other photographers, because I think photography is not a competition. It's something that yeah, everybody can learn from each other, even if you are a beginner or a master, whatever. You shouldn't see it as a competition. We already have one question from MBA, who's asking how many people can attend to your tours. So what is the, let's say, the average amount of participants, and what would be the maximum?
Normally it's between 8 to 10. Okay, the reasons why is it is not a commercial activities that we aims to have as much as profit as possible. It does not go like this. At the end of the day, it is still very much of like workshops, right? We want everyone have a chance to learn, right? And also, it's not the more the merrier, because when a group becomes too big, I'm not saying that we have to manage the group, but we just have to manage our disturbance to the local community. I think that's what we want to manage, right? Because if you go through some of these pictures, we visited the monastery, we visited the houses of the local residents. If the group is like 20 people, can you imagine, right? If first of all, it's not impossible to have 20 people visiting houses or whatever, and even though the locals do not mind, but 20s of us, the chances of us to get our own comfort time and our own comfort space to take pictures are very limited. So we want to make sure that everyone have a good experience, have the good enough time to learn from each other, right? And as well to enjoy photography, to enjoy the travel. So normally our size is limited to either 8 to 10, depends on the countries that we visit.
There's another question from Chu Chong, who's asking what type of guests you prefer not to join. So maybe I say like this: what rules and regulations do the people in your workshops have to follow?
Easygoing. Opens to make friends, right? Easygoing people. I wouldn't say particular what type of people not to join. I would rather say we welcomes, right? If like-minded people have like to make friends, like to be networking, and then enjoying photography, I think that's a very important elements. But bear in mind that, right, it is a travel photography workshops. So a lot of this, we actually put photography as the most priority. So which means that if I explained early on, none of these actually are stage shoots, right? All of these are actually how we approach the situation. So if you are a very strict person, like, hey, Michael, I thought you said that 1 p.m. we must have lunch. Now it is 1:15. Well, please give us an allowance that, we are not very strict to our schedule. One of the reasons is when you're out for the travel, you have to manage, have to expect that unexpected happens, right? And we put photography part as a priority. If you see a very good opportunities to take pictures, we may have to get down from the bus and take good enough pictures before we proceed to the next destinations or to our lunch, right? So give us allowance, right, to enough flexibilities when we conduct our workshop. So I would say that, if come with open-mindedness and a level of flexibles and considerate about the timetables and the schedules. I think that's where we welcome everyone.
I think your participants got hungry when they saw that small butcher they're preparing their fillet steak for the lunch.
Yeah. Okay. Just share with you this one is old market outside Khiva. Khiva is actually a northwest town of Uzbekistan. Okay. It was the first site of Uzbekistan's classified under the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in 1990. There was outside the fort. There was this small markets running around. I think they have been there for like the last 30 years. So I was carrying a SL with the 2490. That was the camera equipment Leica loans out for the participants to try the different equipment, right? And I was using this equipment, and I purposely limit myself. Now, the lens that mounted on the SL is actually 24 to 90. So I was limited myself, that want to restrict myself that, okay, even though it's a zoom lens will give me a range of 24 and 90, I purposely put it on a 90. So I want to practice to make myself to shoot, look for the subjects at the extreme end of the lenses, which is at 90 mm. Just a normal practice that sometimes I will impose some restrictions to myself that to practice to see things at the 90 mm. Because I don't normally see things at 90 mm because myself, I don't have a lens further than 75. So 90 is something that I normally do not see. So given that during the trip, there was this loan equipment by Leica, so I was saying, why not I try myself to whether I can spot something at 90 mm. And then this butchers, he has done his work. He have left, right? I think went back to the behind this small store to clean up or whatever. Then I think believe this is his son, and come and try to clean up. And when they saw me taking up pictures, right, and pointing at her, at him, and he quickly take up this tablecloth, and so like he doesn't want to be. I'm not sure he doesn't want to be short, or he just try to be shy. And I find it sometimes a subject without a full face, it would be an interesting subject. It just gives you a question of top. I give you two choices. One choices is we can see this boy, right? Maybe this boy is not looking at the camera, cleaning up the table. I'll give you another choice, which is these pictures, right? He put up this cloth and hide behind. I would say this definitely will be better pictures, but we normally do not see. Yeah.
So I saw that some participants came in a little bit earlier, so I would like to welcome everybody who joined us a little bit later. And yeah, feel free to ask questions in the chat box. And now we go on with one of the most interesting pictures in that session, I think, from you. But before we talk about that, there's one question from Madhurian, who's asking how many days you usually do that travel workshops. So what is the minimum amount of time that you need to spend in those locations to really dive into the culture and the people?
During the workshops, right? And because myself, I only travel in the south part of Africa, and also my main subject is actually in Asia. Mm-hmm. Okay. In Asia, the trips, it depends where's the locations. If like countries like Uzbekistan, where the flights actually take about at least 6 hours to go, 6 to 8 hours, those countries, normally the workshop is about 7 to 8 days. Now, 7 to 8 days is the reasons like you take 1 day to fly in, 1 day to fly out. So basically, you may have only 6 full days over there. If it's countries in Southeast Asia, right, where the flight is like 2-3 hours, from Singapore, in the Southeast Asia basis, then the workshops normally is about 4 days. Okay, now during these workshops, there are opportunities, of course, to travel, to experience the places, right? There will be ample opportunities for you to take pictures, but we also have review sections. So we will have conduct like one-to-ones, half an hour review sessions with each other. We also have, during the trip, of course, we will share our pictures with each other. So that is it's kind of a learning process over there. Now, then the other question is about how much time is actually you need to have enough communications or to learn to, to talk to the people over there. I think this is a very personal question. It really depends on your soft skill, right? And also like how fast you can pick up some languages and how shy you are or how open you are to talk to strangers. But overall, the places that I've selected, right, as I mentioned, one of the criteria is the people are friendly. They are open for photographer. I think that is where the advantages it is, right? And if it's the places where it's a workshop, then normally they might have recognized me, right? And so I am the leader or so-called. But if it's on the street of the strangers that we meet on walking along the streets, as I mentioned, a lot of these places are quite friendly to the photographer. So I think the common language around the world is a good smile to each other rather than just very gung-ho style interrupt their life and take a pictures and just run away. I think wherever you go, no countries like this kind of habits and attitudes over there. So I think going there with a mind of openness and giving a good smile and thank you, I think everyone's would appreciate and also would not be feel too annoyed as like 8 or 10 photographers visit them at once.
Looking at that shot, for example, did you take that in black and white, or do you convert it? And do you usually post-process your pictures after you take them?
Yeah, I post-process these pictures. If you see the few previous pictures, and actually the most of the pictures that I took for travel, I don't take it in black and white, unless the black and white has the reasons, okay? Normally the black and white have the reasons is where the pictures is perfectly good for black and white with strong contrast. The other reason is where you want to show the mood of the pictures, okay? The mood of the black and white is very different, right? So let me give you some background about these pictures. Then how and why I want to show it in black and white, and why I put a person next to it. I won't say I put a person next to it, the person just walking towards there, okay? Now, this looks like a shipwreck, okay? Yes, it is a shipwreck. The shipwreck is at the Ara Sea, okay? It's a northwest, Ara Sea. The sea, actually, the local people refer to the lake. When the lake is very large, the local people will call it a sea, but actually it's not a sea, right? But local Uzbekistan, they call it Ara Sea. Ara Sea is located in the northwest of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. Well, you may challenge me now, Michael, I don't see a sea. Yeah, you don't see a sea now. The lake itself, the Ara Sea or Ara Lake, at 1960, before 1960, is the fourth largest lake in the world.
And he disappeared.
Yes, it's a size of 68,000 kilometers square. Okay, and how big is it? 68,000 kilometers square. It's a half of the size of England. From 1960, it's a full of fishing activities over here. Okay, so you see a lot of fishing boats, and this is the Soviet Union time, the fishing boats, huge boats here to do daily fishing. All right, now from 1960 onwards, Soviet Unions have a project for irrigation that diverts the water out from the lake to the Kazakhstan area for the plantations in the Kazakhstan. Within 20 years, the lake almost disappeared. Within 20 years, it's only left 10%. Now, 2004, the satellite took a pictures of this. The leftover size is less than even 5% of the originals, the Ara Sea that we used to see. Okay, so basically 20 years, half of the size of the England of the lake have totally gone, right? And the world actually call this one of the worst of the planet worst environmental disaster, right? Can you imagine the lake is totally gone? And today, this area no longer called Ara Sea. They call Arakum Desert. Kum actually means desert. A sea turned to a desert. And there's a lot of leftover ship over there. This shipwreck was, if you travel to some of the countries like Namibia, you will see the shipwreck. The shipwreck is like slanting towards 35 degree, it's almost falling into the sea but this is very, very different, right? You have never had a chance to see a shipwreck standing still in the middle of the desert. And how big is this sea? That's the reasons why the local tourists walk by, and I purposely wait for him to come into my image to have these pictures, right? It's to show without the persons over there, it is I would say a normal travel pictures. But with the persons over there, you can basically, at least you can tell the scale, how big is a ship. And during those area, you need a very big ships or fishing boats to come there. You can imagine the history of the shrinking of the disappear lake. So that history come with me, and in addition with this gloomy weather, for me this is just a perfect shot. It's just the story and the moods. It will be best combinations to deliver as a black and white pictures over here.
Okay, we go on a little bit so that we still have enough time to see some other pictures.
Yeah,
This it looks like also in Uzbekistan. So
yes, yeah, Uzbekistan is a fort. This fort is about 10 meters high. The wall, right, surrounded the Injakala. So Injakala means the inner city. The inner city was built in the 10th century. So there was about 50s. There's about 250 old houses and about 50 historical monuments inside the fort. And around the fort, always there was the kids running around with this fort. So I think capturing the fort itself and capturing the forts with the locals, that is where I normally say I like travel photography, but must have a humans there. The humans, not me. The humans is not other tourists. The human is local people that give a little bit punch of a travel photography that come out, and the kids, you can tell that they're enjoying playing there, they're enjoying being photographed over here.
Sure, kids always enjoy being photographed. Is that shot on film? Actually, it looks like
no, it was shot a digital camera, actually using my T. Okay, using my Leica T. It's an APS-C camera, and with M to T adapters. Actually, I put a Leica 35 Summarit lens on it. So it was shooting with manual lenses on a Leica T.
But I'm curious about this shot because, for example, in the left corner we can see a little bit of noise. So it must have been shot with an increased amount of ISO, but it's outside, right? So
Yeah.
was it too dark, or what was the reason that you shot in that with that settings?
Well, Lucas, just share with you, right? I come from the film, well, I started photography with the film days, and I like those noise in black and white. Okay.
Oh, so,
I
so you did it purposely.
Yes, I actually like noise. Okay. Well, nowadays you talk about I don't want any noise in my camera. I actually like noise. Later we go about one pictures. I purposely take one pictures at f14. Why I go for f14? Because it was a bright day, but I want to take the picture in the ISO 3002.
Uh-huh.
So I have no choice. I have to go for f14. I don't think anyone will want to go for f14 during the bright day, right? But I like the noise that the Leica camera gives me. It gives me the taste of the film days. That's what I like about the camera
That's
itself.
why I thought that that was shot on film, because
Yeah,
it's like first was my first idea behind it. And
yeah,
it's interesting that you actually increase the ISO by purpose. I mean, because
yeah,
a lot of people are always praying shoot with as low ISO as possible, but it also shows that it can be done in another way.
yeah. Uh, Again, these pictures are put in black and white. It's shot in Samarkand, is Rajasthan Square. It was inside a madrasa. Madrasa is in the Islamic college that you call it in the old days. Now, I want to share with you a little bit technical aspect. Right, if you talk about the golden rule of photography during the Renaissance period, the 2/3. Now, the subject is really in the middle. Would the 2/3 rules apply? Well, I would say depends how you look into it. If you look in the horizontal or you look at the vertical, right? If you look at the vertical, would there a 2/3 rule over here? I will say yes, right? If you look at the left side, on the right side, the door, which is in the black and white, the door gives me a darker tones, right? The left side and the right side of the edge of the door, it gives me a darker tones. These darker tones almost lies on the 2/3, the left and the right over there. If it's in colors, I wouldn't say these pictures will emphasize that, but it's a black and white. The contrast of the lights fall on the subject. Some subjects fall on the wall, right? And some subjects, which is the behind, right? The subject itself in the outdoor, right? So actually you see a layer of white, a layer of black, and again. So these two doors give me a 2/3 rule here.
Mhm.
Now look at the subject. The subject is in the middle. But if you look at the subject on the horizontal way, the subject actually sits on the 2/3 rule, which on the lower part of it. So I think I use this is to illustrate 2 points. One is when you apply for the 2/3 rules, so-called the golden rules of the photograph, how you compose it. This picture actually fit into that perspective, and how you use light and the dark shadow over here. So there is a very positive EV over here, which is look at the behind, right, the outdoor. There's a very minus EV over here. Look at the edge of the door, and there's a shadow. So there's a gradual tones of it. So these pictures, if it's in color, it doesn't sound appeal to me, but in these conditions, it naturally give me the idea that it is a perfect black and white pictures because of the tones over here and the contrast of the black and the white here. And it
Yeah.
just that happened that it upside. Just imagine this, right, Lucas? Just bear with me a second. Just imagine this without a man, and with a man, the subjects over there,
Mhm.
right? Just try to imagine it. Just try to imagine it with a man and without a man. With a man, which especially the local. Now this is good picture for me. Right? This is a travel pictures, good pictures for me. But bear in mind that don't put your not a tourist, right? I mean, yeah, normally I not prefer to have a tourist over there, which is local people as prefer to give me the message of this is a travel photography and I have been to these places, and the local people reflect the ambience of the cultures of the buildings of these countries.
And I think the aspect here makes that image really interesting, because that man Yeah, he looks quite small, because when you're looking at that door, you would expect him to be taller, and I don't know if everybody feels like that, but if I'm looking at that, it seems like he has been shrinked or something like that.
Yeah.
So
If from perspective, right? Actually, I'm very close to the door, and he's very far behind. So the perspective actually play a trick over here. Yeah. That's the beauty of photography, anyway.
There's one question from Wendy regarding your earlier shot and the Uzbekistan photographer that you mentioned, and she's asking, is it Andos Salidyanov? Is it this one, or was it another one?
No, yeah, yeah. Let me get back the name. Actually, is his first name is called Shafkat. Yeah, Shafkat Botev. Yeah. Shafkat Bokat, Bukhara photographer, is very famous. You can search on the internet. You can find him.
Okay, so now we are back to color, and it doesn't seem like we are still in Uzbekistan. So
yeah, well, Lucas, you definitely get it right?
Yeah, I'm getting better in those things.
Yeah, so we are changing from Central Asia. Now I bring everyone to the South Asia, which the country is actually Bhutan, right? So from the religions of the Muslim world, now it's going to the Buddhism's world in the Bhutan. What I like, just share with you what I like this picture is, first of all, the pictures give you a sense, right? I mean, even Lucas, as you can tell, this is, well, it's either look like Tibet or look like the Bhutan's, about the you capture some of the elements in these pictures. You can a little bit tell, right, which likely is the religions, the countries, with subjects and without subjects. That I always emphasize. A good travel photography, it can be a landscape, but if you look for the travel photography with the humans, you always have a director mindset. A director mindset means you look for the spots, the director is like, okay, I want these pictures to turn out to be like this, and this and that. Now, what you need is a subject. As I mentioned, we never do stage shoots. Okay, I did not pay the monk or the young monk. I did not pay or did not ask him to run upside down 10 times. So I was standing there. I know I have framed this angle. All right, I framed this angle, and I know on and off there will be monk running up and down. I was standing there to wait for this to happen. Right. So this is where we call, you frame as a director, you frame the pictures and you wait for the moments to happen. Now this is, in fact, can be very enjoying experience, and it can be also a frustrating experience. It depends your attitude, right? As I mentioned, if this happens, great, right? If this not happens, well, just make it as experience of enjoyment of photography. Compared to, I pay a monk to ask a monk to run 10 times upside down, there's no fun, right? Photography for me is not just about having the pictures. It's about the moments that you enjoy the whole process of photography. If you talk to someone who enjoys fishing, you ask them, I give you the fish. I pay $10, go to the market to buy the fish. Compared to you outside to the boats and do fishing 2 hours, which one do you prefer? I'm very sure he said he enjoyed the 2 hours go out to fishing. Similar to photography, enjoy the process of taking the pictures, be it whether or not eventually the pictures turn out, right? If the pictures turn out, that's a bonus. If not, you enjoy the experience. That's where we call fish and fishing experience. Similarly, the photos that you want and the process of enjoyments that you have into the photography.
But that means that even when joining those travel workshops, it's not a guarantee to get a good picture, right? So in the end, you always have to be at the right place in the right time and be lucky.
You are right. You're absolutely right, Lucas. But as I say, right time, right moments, do your homework. But if you have not traveled to this place before, then you join the workshops and follow who have done the homework. Then your chances getting it will be much higher.
This shot reminds me a little bit of a shot from Steve Golden. We had an exhibition with him in MBS, and he had also like a shot from a monk which was looking at him, and the light was falling on his face in that exact moment. So this reminds me a little bit. But is it with flash? Because the light
No.
seems a little bit cold here.
It's no without flash, right? Couple of things I want to share with you about these pictures. First of all, this is not a monk. This is a nun. All right,
Okay.
nun. Yeah, and this lady, this year I think she is about 30 years old. Her name is Leica. So this nunnery in Bhutan, in a place called Punaka. When I first visit this nunnery, I just have attached to this nunnery. They are very open. They are open for photographer. Not only that, they're really welcome me. Now, the special of this photo, first of all, they are doing the evening puja. So evening praying sessions, it is their daily homework. The nunnery is open every day and closed by 6 p.m. The reasons why they're closed by 6 p.m. is by 6:30, they have to do their daily puja, evening puja. So they ask all the tourists out, even the local Bhutanese, they ask everyone out by 6 p.m. Then they will start to do their puja work. But for me, it's like a special VIP. I have run a few charity programs with them. I help them, and this is, I can't remember, is that the 5th time or the 6th time I visited this nunnery. I know many of them. Not many of them I can recall the names, but at least a few I can recall the names. And so we were allowed to stay on to attend their puja festival, not festival, the puja daily events, and to have a chance to take these pictures. Of course, you don't go into the middle of them, right? It is really disrespectful, but we can stay one side and have opportunity to take these pictures. If you ask me, was there a still shot? No, I kind of like waited this to happen. So what I do is I actually frame up what I want to shoot, right? And I'm holding my camera still there, right? And I hope that at least one, I'm not sure who, but at least one will look outside to the door, because we are standing from a door entrance. That's where you can see the light. The further in is the ambience light. The last row near to the door have a fluorescent light. That's why you can see there's a different tones of the color over here. It was a fortunate, right? It was a good opportunities where the nearest to the door, which is have a different light source, turned back. So I think it's a good moment of capture this. I was using compact camera, Leica T. I won't say compact, but it's a APS-C. First of all, is lighter to carry. If you imagine I was waited this for 5 minutes and carry a more heavy equipment, I must have rest and missed this shot. So I was actually holding my camera, waiting this to happen. I take this picture at ISO 3002 at the f2, because my lens is a Summicron, so it gives me as a f2, and that's good enough to take these pictures.
How important is the focal length here? Because there's a question from Danny asking for your favorite focal lengths, and what type of lenses, and how many lenses would you recommend to carry around to cover up everything?
All right. If I were allowed to take only one lens at the focal length, I prefer that to be 35 mm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this lens is a 23 mm Summicron, but it's an APS-C sensor. So in the 35 format, it is a 35 mm. Right? If I were allowed to take two lenses, I would prefer one to be like 28 or 24, and then the other one to be in 50, so that I will cover the wide range, and then at the 50, which is the mid-range. I don't have any range of the lens that is beyond like hundreds and 200. No, the max is something like 75, which is like a kit lens of the Leica T. So for me, it's always like 28 to 75 that basically cover 95% of my pictures.
And another question is, what was the longest time you have waited for a shot? Because you mentioned earlier for the last one, you waited about 5 minutes. What was the longest time you've waited for getting the shot?
I couldn't remember. I think 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes is quite. I would say, in average, you have to wait for that moment to happen. But sometimes it's not the. I also run out of patience. So like 5 minutes, if I don't get the shot, I will just keep going. Yeah, it could be for me. It's like the fate for this time is not the fate to have the pictures that I want. Then maybe I come back to the next time. It's like fishing. Not every time you go for fishing, you get a big fish, right? So it's a gift or miss. If you have the attitude to let go, you will have the happiness when you get it. So I might not have this time, then I have for the next time.
And these shots are all in Bhutan, right? Because
yes, these shots in Bhutan.
So the last 3 shots are all taken in Bhutan.
Yeah, yeah.
Another question from Casey. So when you have a high dynamic scene, do you meter? So when it comes to the exposure, so how do you meter then?
Good questions. I think a lot of my friends, during the workshop, they will say that, how do you meter? I always ask them a questions. What do you want? The metering is actually to help you to deliver the image that you want. So very important. Let's say these pictures, I purposely put a silhouette pictures over here. If you ask me, where do I meter? Then the next question I ask you, what do you want from these pictures? You want the monk in these subjects to be like the silhouette, or do you want the monk to be a proper exposed? You must tell me what you want to do. Then I can tell you where you want to meter. If you don't have the first questions, I don't have the answer for you. So at the ultimate question is, from the final image, how you want the image to look like. You want the image to look like this with the monk silhouette, right? Or you want different effect coming up. Then I can tell you where you want to meter. But in generally speaking, right? In generally speaking, in a harsh situations where the very contrast, then you use smart metering, because your spot metering is just like one dot of the proper meter at the EV0 of the subjects that you want it to be exposed.
The metering topic that always comes up in the Leica conversation, so it seems to be a very important topic for our photographers. Yeah. Because always some questions about that. Yeah. I go on a little bit, so because we have some very interesting pictures upcoming, which I really would like to have a look on it, so that we are not running out of time so much.
Yeah, similar to these pictures, it's not stage shots, right? And how can you ask 8 women to bend down for you? There's no way I can ask 8 women to bend down for me at the same time. I waited these pictures, I would say at least for 3-5 minutes, and I'm using a Leica T with me. So I do all my proper setup, right? I'm using an f8. I'm using 1/800, just that I can fast enough to capture this. So that was not the only shot that I took. I took a few shots, but this is the one that I like most, because there was some like 7s down, 1 up, right? Or yeah, so that was where I waited for the right moments to be happen. That's why I say sometimes the small camera does the beauty, because it's light. Once it's light, you as a travel photographer, you want to take good pictures, but you don't want the equipment to drag you down. That's very important. So sometimes with me, there's a small cameras. Sometimes with M system. Also depends on the situation. So for me, this is a perfect examples where a light camera can do a beauty.
Mm-hmm. And we have also the film style back again a little bit.
Yes, again, yeah.
So let's say on that topic a little bit. So besides of all the things that you have mentioned earlier, why you're using a compact camera, what would you say is actually an advantage of bringing a small compact camera over let's say M or SL system? So of course you are more flexible. It's smaller, but when it comes to really achieving the best quality and astonishing pictures, you think it's also able with only compact cameras, right?
To have the best of the both end, it's good to have 2 cameras, right? you will have, to be honest, I mean, at this point, I actually have an M240 with me. Okay, but I chose to take a picture of the T. The reasons why is my hand's going to be tired. I don't know how long I'm going to wait. So having a camera with a lighter between the M and the T with me at the same point of time, I would think that with a T, maybe my hand can last me 5 minutes. If my hands can last me 5 minutes before I take a rest, the chances to capture the pictures is higher, right? Maybe with a Leica M240, well, it takes good pictures, but my hand will get tired in 3 minutes. What if after the 3 minutes, I only have this chance to capture these pictures? So I look at the situations and see what is the chances to get the right moment of the pictures for me. Now, of course, there's a difference between full frame and APS-C, but okay, to most of us, right? If you print out the pictures to the size of what I show over here, this is actually the pictures that I print out using compact cameras, and I'm hanging at my wall over here at my house. Even I print up to such a size, compact cameras is also can do a very good job. So sometimes depends on your needs, and if affordable and the situations allowed, carry 2 cameras that you can have both ends of the world. Once you have a full frame, one you may have another alternative, right? And it's a small and compact where you feel very comfortable that you always carry around. And when you have a situations, you have a choice, you always have a backup. You always have a choice to choose which one to go with you.
There's one question from Craig who's asking, how does Leica handle highlights, and does it have a good dynamic range?
Highlights and okay, let's talk about the dynamic range first. Now, I am not a person who like to shoot dynamic range, right? I like very extreme pictures sometimes. Dynamic range, I would say for a landscape, it would be very useful, right? For dynamic range, because you have a different tones over here. In terms of handling the light in such a dynamic range, the sensor itself is not 100% the decisive factor. The other point of it is how the optic quality can handle the harsh situations of the light. Some of the lenses, of the Leica lenses, they can render the light in a very, very natural way. And those lenses, I really like them, right? And that lenses with the match of the Leica sensor can give you a very, very good result, especially when you see some of the lenses in the Leica firm bodies, even in the latest, the M10s mounted with the M lenses, that some pictures are very, very beautiful. So I won't say that one is the elements, the decisive factors. You have to look at the optics quality, where the Leica is best at, combined with the sensor itself. So M lenses with the M body itself, for me, give you the best answer or the best result to handle the harsh lighting situations. And in terms of the dynamic range, of course, the full frame camera will have more wider dynamic range, handle it better than the non-full frame camera. So there's a trade-off over here. So I will choose for a smaller camera, but sometimes I have to sacrifice a little bit of dynamic range. So this is where the balance that as a photographer, you have to make a decisions.
So Michael, I hope you forgive me if we now jump a little bit, because I think we shouldn't extend the 1.5 hours over here, but I really would like to have a closer look on last 2 pictures of you, because the story of this one, this one is the first I would like to talk about, because in our preparation earlier, you've told me the story behind this, so share it with us all.
Yeah. Oh, I personally, I like this picture a lot. Nothing about technical from the different perspective. It was this very old lady in the center of Bhutan, right? And she has never had a picture of herself, right? She never have a pictures of herself. In Bhutan, you don't expect there's a Fuji printing shop. You don't expect there's a Kodak Fuji printing shop. There's no. He might have a pictures, that's a group pictures, but in terms of alone, individual pictures. She has not a pictures of herself. And these pictures, right, is, I mean, you can tell it's actually shot from instead film camera. It was shot from a so forth. So during the Leica Academy trip to Bhutan, one of the participants carried the so forth camera with a few stacks of ready prints. So knowing her, she was so open for us and try to talk to us, and so we take the pictures of her, and these participants give these instead pictures to her, and she was very happy. You can tell, she's smiling. She's very happy, and I was told like, why not you carry a picture of yourself, right? And then I take the pictures of her. So I think I kind of like this idea of sharing. And the other message I want to deliver is, a lot of time when we visit places, or we always ask some strangers, can I take a picture of yourself? I think we have to also, as a photographer, you ask yourself, are you aware you're really taking something of her, right? I take a picture of you, I'm sure I've taken something from you. But as a photographer, what do you give back? If you don't give back, or not ready to give back, or not willing to give back, what makes you a right to take? If you have no willingness to give back, you have no right to take. Now, similarly, I think it's a fair trade. I take a picture of you, I give you back a photo of yourself. So I think, this message is, I like to share this message with all the photographer in the community as I said, to promote the good behavior of the environments and the places that we visit. I think we like to share what we enjoy. Similarly, today I'm sharing my passions with you all. I hope that you also like to share your photos that you take with your subjects and the recipients on your end.
It's super fascinating for me, and to remind ourselves that there are people out there who have never seen or have a picture from themselves. I mean, for us in our modern society, everybody can shoot 1,000 selfies a day and post it on Instagram or whatever daily. And as you explained, it's amazing that how they enjoy it when they receive the first picture of themselves in their life.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's go on to the last slide over here, because I think this is also something we should highlight for the end of the session today, because it's I think also important for you to tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. During the trips, right? I mean, the Leica Academy trips. Of course, we welcome every level of photographers to come and join us, right? As Lucas, like you mentioned, photography is not compete with each other. It's like playing golf. You have your own handicap. Everyone is in the path of improving, right? Mm-hmm. So be it you're amateur, be it you're professionals, be it you might even better than me, okay? Mm-hmm. We are welcoming you to join. My role as an instructor is not to show you my good pictures, but rather I help you to improve. Whether you are level 1 or level 10, there's a room for you to grow, to improve. As a role of instructor, right, I will rather say instructors and not photographer. My role here is to help you to understand where you are, right? Where is the area you can continue to improve. So during the trips, as we give one-to-one kind of like 30 minutes kind of mentorships to point out the area of improve. So everyone's during the trips, what we hope that after the trips, you upgrade your level 7 to level 8, level 10 to level 11. So we come by a lot of participants, join our trips, and after the trips, they go back to their home countries and submit some of the photos, and they won awards, they won competitions, they publish in a magazine or in web. Now this one is taken in Uzbekistan from one participant from China. Mm-hmm. So he flew all the way from China to Singapore and joined us from Singapore to fly to Uzbekistan. Very tiring route, but he benefited. He came to the trip. He was a 60 over years old guy. He came to the trip and he learns, right? And also the good opportunities and where to spot about these places. And he submits to the National Geographic of China versions. So every month they have these online competitions. He submit this photo and he won the competitions over there.
Mm-hmm. So we go to this one. This is from National Geographic, right?
Correct, correct. This is from a National Geographic Travel Photography for year 2017. Was shot by a Filipino a nurse. Right, she is a nurse, and during the entire trip, she is the one only carry one camera, very simple camera, Leica X. Right, it's a compact camera, fixed lens, 35 mm format, and only one camera. So she took this picture and they call it 2 seconds later. So we were shooting in the markets, in the milk markets, and there was car around. And just within a very short moment, when she looked back, she saw a man like coming up with a camel behind her. So immediately he just took those pictures to take these pictures. And it's not often that you see. Well, you may say that it's a messy. There's a car, not a full car, and there's a camel. But actually, it tells a story, right? You have a man, you have a woman, right? And you have a camel with a car background. You can tell that it is a street. A street with a camel walking into it is not something we normally see in our daily life.
It's amazing that you don't have to be a professional photographer to achieve the results. Sometimes you get a shot that is so good that it's once in a lifetime opportunity.
Once a lifetime, yeah. Think of photography is good photo. It's always mixed about the light and the moments. Light is the basics, right? You get the exposures correct. Moment is really, I wouldn't say the light. It's how you practice, and then having a good chance to get the good pictures, right timing, right places, and this way you make winning pictures. Yeah. Similar to this picture is shot by Ting Ling. Ting Ling is online today, right? This was the academy trip to the India during the times of the year in early of November. The India going through a demonetization, so they were going to replace the 500 rupees and 1,000 rupees, the old notes, to replace it with a new notes of 500 rupees and 2,000 rupees. So the general usage of 1,000 rupees notes is going to phase out, right? They become valueless. So everyone have to change the notes or to the new ones. So everywhere you go during that period of time, and this picture is shot during early of December, everywhere you go in India, only bank is crowded with a lot of people. And normally it's like the bank normally wouldn't be crowded a lot of people, but everywhere you go in India, there was a long queue in front of each of the branch of the India. And that is the year that you can get these kind of pictures. And what interesting most is, you look at this bank, you can see the Ting Ling capture the logo, right? It's a State Bank of kind of India, SPBJ. And then the man lining on the right hand side, not so colorful, where the lady lying on one side, dressed in very colorful. So it is really the right moments, right time you capture these kind of pictures. And Ting Ling won a silver award of this Americans host contest.
So I think this should encourage everybody to join, participate your future workshops. Then see that everybody can be promoted in that way. And definitely amazing results, honestly. Michael, thank you very much for the sharing. Let's answer the last questions for now, because there was one question earlier. I don't want to forget anybody. One question regarding the shot that you take from the monk. Maybe I go back to that picture that we see what we are talking about. This one, the question is, did you use the natural light or did you open it?
It's a natural light. So there's a light source coming from both left or right? So there was the door over here. If you look at where your pointer is, there's a door of entrance. So they go through this corridor. This corridor is pointing towards the samsara, the Tibetan Buddhism of view of life, right? Again, natural light over here. No other light source is being used. Very dark situations here. Well, I want to show the contrast, the colorful background. If you ask me, is the monk is a subject or the pictures behind is a subject, I would say it's definitely the view of life that is a subject. But with the both light source coming in, right, then I would rather to capture on the left hand side the light source, because it gives you a contrast. On the left hand side, there's one light source. And the right-hand side, the main door, which is the monk is heading to, there's another light source. So there's two left and right, a bit symmetric over here. So we look at these pictures, there's the wheel of light is actually in the center. The monk actually awaited him to step into the center. The light source on left and right, the window, is become these pictures like more like symmetric of the contrast, right? And if you look at the drawings on the right hand side, you can see the light actually shine through a little bit there on the right hand side, right? So again, try to imagine this, right? Without the monk, with the monk, which one you prefer? Definitely with the monk, right? So a travel photographer, sometimes you add a human's element there, you speak for itself. Yeah. And again, as I say, the subject is really the wheel of life, the samsara. So I don't need to expose the monk. I rather to have this monk being a silhouette over here. If I waited another 2 seconds, the monk will have stepped in to the light source. That is what I don't want. So it really depends on how you want to frame the pictures, right? And then how you want to do the metering, and what is the right timing to take these pictures. And before that, you have to have mastermind as a director what pictures you want to deliver. You mastermind that, and you wait for the moment to happen.
And the last question for today regarding MBA was saying that he would like to prefer to have a small printer with him to print directly out of his M10. Maybe I answer those questions. So I know a customer who brought a small printer once to our store, which he directly connected to his M camera. So that is definitely possible. But I don't know the brand or the model of the printer. MBA and Keith, if you would like to post or to send me your email address privately, I can find out and then answer this to you afterwards. But for now, I don't know the exact brand. But it's definitely possible to connect some small pocket-sized printers with the M camera.
Hey, Lucas.
Yeah.
One request for me.
Sure.
Okay. Can you go to the slide?
Whatever you.
Yeah, can you go to the slide 19? I want to show these pictures. I really want to show these pictures.
Okay.
Slide 19.
Okay. You need to stop because I don't know what 19 is. So you need to say.
Okay. Go down. Go down further. Okay, this one.
This one?
No.
The one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No
okay. No. Sure. Let me show these pictures. This picture is shot by Leica X Warrior. Okay. I'm using a 1/1000. Okay, shutter speed. The reasons why I want a fast shutter speed, because this man is tasting the milk, right? And you can see the milk dropping from his hand. So I have to use a very high shutter speed. Not only that, right? So I push all the limits, right? I'm using an ISO 3002. So if I know my shutter speed and I choose my ISO, so the camera will decide for me the aperture. At the end, turn out that the aperture is f14. No one will ever think about shooting humans pictures with f14, right? I'm not talking about landscape. Now, why I do this? The reasons why is, I have a strong preference of noise. I like the Leica noise because it reminds me of the film days. If you look at this picture of ISO 3002, if you print out, you will see there's some noise, but this is not annoying noise. This is the noise that I like most, and this is what is unique about the Leica sensor that can give me. Right? If you look at that, on the left-hand side, the man's looking on the left-hand side, there's one man staring at this man. The noise on his faces, and also the neck of this, that's the subject. The noise is really beautiful.
Yes, honestly.
Yeah, just share my experience, right? I mean, you wouldn't even think of street photography, taking pictures of humans. Why on earth Michael use f14 to take such a pictures?
No, it's amazing, honestly, because as you mentioned, I mean, this is not something that you would learn in photography school to do that, but I mean, this shows that there's no right or wrong in photography, in my opinion. There's always a matter of what you want to do and what you want to achieve, and definitely it proves that you can also shoot an f14 and high ISO. So yeah, why not? Okay, then before we say goodbye to everybody and to Michael, I really would like to encourage everybody to visit our Leica store, Leica online store, because we have some very nice and attractive promotions and bundles currently. Because you know, as it was Father's Day, we still have the Father's Day promotion running. So if you say like, okay, now while everybody has a little bit of more time, maybe it's a good start to improve my photography skills and things like this. Yeah, please visit our store. I think there's something for everybody, and as we have learned today, it's not only the full full size, full frame and medium format cameras, can be also the compact cameras, which you can achieve amazing results. And to you, Michael, thank you very much for today's session. The bad part of being a moderator is that I have to cut off at some point, but I really enjoyed it, and I think everybody really enjoyed it, because it was very interesting, not only to look at your pictures, also to understand the background of your travels that you are organizing, and also your story. Why are you shooting, or why you like to also shoot with the compact solutions? So yeah, please yeah, feel free to visit us in those sessions again. I think we will set up something maybe later on, that we have enough time to also have a look on your last pictures that we miss out today. And for everybody who is interested in joining the trips and the workshops for Michael, please stay tuned and have a look at the Leica Akademie page. For now, we cannot confirm much, because you know everybody knows of the current situation that we have. But I think for the upcoming year, there will be a lot of adventures that you can discover with Michael together. So yeah, thank you very much, Michael, and thanks to everybody who joined us today. Have a nice weekend then.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, everyone.